Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
To quote Dick Girardi, yo. Great to be with you.
What's going on today, Steve? Anything happening in the sports world?
It's draft day.
Mm-hmm. That it is.
Our guest later will be Kevin Costner.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry? No.
Yeah.
All right.
How dare you? The greatest film that's ever happened and been on this planet, even though I've never actually seen it. I need to sit down and watch it. It's beauty. It's glory. Yeah. I have to. It'll happen at some point. But before we get into our mock draft, which we will do during this show, we will be Kevin Costner for a little bit. I want to talk corners and safeties because that's the two places we have not really gotten to yet. So, of course, there are quite a few Penn State players in the DB room that are possibly going to get drafted today. Mm-hmm. So let's chat cornerback first. So the top guys off the board that'll go in that first round, you've got Quinion Mitchell from Toledo, Terrion Arnold from Alabama, Cooper DeJean from Iowa, Nate Wiggins from Clemson, Kool-Aid McKinstry from Alabama, and a few other guys. I know Penn State played against Iowa, of course, and Cooper DeJean. What did you, in watching the film and watching him prepping for games, what have you seen out of him, not only as a cornerback, but also like a returner? Because that's what he did. That's how Iowa won games. He would return punts.
He was actually the best offensive player they had, and he didn't play offense.
It wasn't even close.
This guy is an excellent athlete who has a great feel for the game. I watch him play corner. He understands leverage. He understands, they can put him out there alone. Mm-hmm. And that frees up. They don't have to double people with him because he's a very good cover corner. He also understands how to turn toward the help, which is great. And as a punt returning is you have to be an excellent athlete, but you also have to have a feel for it. Now, I know this is an analytics world. They hate that word. That's okay. It's that's because a lot of people who do analytics have no instincts. Mm-hmm. So that's just the way it is. But I love the fact that we're interested in the sport. Mm-hmm. I think that's great. And I think they've added a lot to the sport. But don't ever discount somebody having a feel for something.
Yeah.
Ever. And that's the problem I have with them. They discount people who have a feel. No, that's impossible. You have it's got to do it by the numbers. No, when you actually play, you have to have a feel for it. Mm-hmm. You watch Cooper DeJean. And Cooper DeJean,
good.
I mean, does a great job of just picking his way through traffic. He sees everything. Even the Minnesota game that they lost, where they made that bogus call. I don't care.
He returned the punt. It was a game ender.
They claimed he called a fair catch.
We've talked about it, 5 times already this year?
I'm watching it on the plane. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have earbuds, so we couldn't really hear what they were saying. And Jack and I are looking at each other like, the heck's taking so long on this play? I mean, the first thing we were looking at was his left foot in bounds. Mm-hmm. Yep. Then he goes all the way across the field. Was his right foot in bounds? Mm-hmm. Yep. Like, what's taking so long? And then they said it was a fair catch. Now, in the preseason, when the officials came in, that actually was a point of emphasis when they were talking to the Penn State players. Like, okay. But that play, though, is emblematic of that. I mean, when they're losing the game, it's 12-10.
And there's, 15 seconds left on the clock? Not even?
And he runs the punt back. So he's going to be invaluable in a couple of different areas for teams. And I would have no problem at all with if my team were to draft this guy. I know he's coming off an injury. I got that. But he obviously has done enough testing-wise to still be considered a first-round pick.
That he has.
And that's great. And I think he is, whomever gets him is going to get a real winner. No question.
Yeah.
I mean, later on, we've already talked about Kalen King. We've talked about Johnny Dixon, about Daequan Hardy. But DeJean is a special talent.
That he is. And it also helps him to have the return ability. I think that is an automatic plus for a lot of teams. Because again, as we've discussed, having a guy who understands how to return the ball, A, he can be your returner, and B, he can probably play special teams real well if you need it, if you physically needed him to, if he ever ended up there for whatever reason.
Sure you do.
It's a positive. Yeah. But speaking of Hardy, King, and Dixon, ESPN's most recent update to their draft numbers and stuff has Daequan Hardy as the 34th corner, Kalen King as 35th, and Johnny Dixon 38th in the cornerback room. So Hardy is ranked above Kalen King now and above Dixon going into this draft.
Yeah, but remember what Hardy has done that Dixon hasn't done. He's worked out. Dixon's been hurt. And because he's been hurt, he hasn't done as many workouts as everybody. And that is an issue, at least for him going into it. The whole point is to get yourself into a camp and then go from there. Corners are going to be going off the board left and right.
Oh, yeah.
In this. People are aching to find corners.
Everyone needs a lockdown corner. Everyone does.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as too many cornerbacks.
Right. And what makes Dixon and Hardy in particular interesting is that they both have played either the nickel or the dime. All right, that slot corner spot. That's invaluable. Now, Kalen King hasn't done that. He has not played the nickel or the dime. He has strictly been the corner. But that's going to be, I think, it's going to help them. But Dixon hasn't been working out. He went to the Senior Bowl. He got hurt. He didn't really do the combine. Didn't really do the pro day. There's a lot of things. So you fall on the board based on some of that stuff because you're trying to figure out where you fall into place. The key is to get drafted. You'd love to be the first-round pick with the guaranteed money. You'd love to be the second or third-round pick. Okay, great. But just get yourself drafted in a camp and then go from there. Then all three of them will make the team. Right? That's the whole key. All three will make the team.
That they will. And they're going to be good. I'm intrigued to watch what happens with them. In the safety room, there's not too many guys. There's none that are projected to go around the first round. So I'm expecting day 2, day 3 guys, a lot of them to be safeties, a bunch of corners to go there as well. But the cornerbacks are going to be, again, one of the positions going to have a run on them. There's a bunch of them that are good, bunch of first rounders.
There'll be more of a run on corners than safeties. Safeties are not a high premium position in the NFL.
And it's also a position where, it's tough to be a great safety. And so a lot of teams, it feels like, don't draft safeties unless they know they're going to be great. There's a really high bar on the safety position.
Well, look at Jaquan Brisker and Jair Brown. Both got drafted as safeties. Brisker was a second-round pick. Jair was a third-round pick. They both ended up starting right away. And not only that, Brisker has had a couple of really terrific seasons with the Bears. And Jair Brown was a difference maker on a team that made it to the Super Bowl last year, including an interception at the Super Bowl.
You're not wrong.
Thanks. Appreciate that. Means a lot.
I know it does. I guess it is now time for everyone's favorite thing in the world, our lovely draft.
We could be inaccurate just like everybody else.
No such thing as being inaccurate, Steve. We're the most accurate people that have ever been on the face of the earth. What are you talking about? So going into this draft, I'm looking at this. I'm literally doing a mock draft as we speak. Fun fact. And I'm looking at it, I'm just like, I have questions. I have so many questions about all these teams and everybody. But I know I will never get answers to a lot of the things I have questions about. So it's time to just do the thing and do the draft. So what better way to do it than to just go through this draft and do a full-on mock draft? Why not, Steve? Let's do it. So first overall pick, the Bears. Who you have them selecting?
It's obvious Caleb Williams. Mm-hmm. He'll be the first overall pick in the draft. He will then spend a good chunk of his career running for his life. Mm-hmm. And
well, who knows? Their 9th pick could be someone to help him not have to run for his life.
You have to remember, this is the Bears picking.
True. I have faith in Ryan Poles. There was an interesting...
I still think they might pass. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
There was an interesting question brought up by... I'm trying to remember who did it. What's his name? The Ringer.
Dave Portnoy?
Bill Simmons. Bill Simmons brought up...
Bill Simmons brought up something about the NBA the other day.
Yeah.
That was bizarre.
Well, he brought up the idea that... Because... Jim Harbaugh has been very high, being like, J.J. McCarthy is the best quarterback in the draft. Mm-hmm. This rumor was brought up of like, if you're the Bears and you're sitting at 1, you say, hey, Jim, Chargers guys, 1 for Herbert, straight up. Hold your hands up. 1 for Herbert. And you just, even if they say no, you just do it anyway. Because they've said he loves McCarthy. You test the resolve. Test the do we actually want it? Because then they'd have 1 and 5, the Chargers. That's all I'm gonna say. And then you can say,
yeah, but if the Bears make the deal, you want the Chargers 5th overall pick.
But you also wouldn't mind being able to say we basically picked Justin Herbert 1st overall. Not a bad selection by any means. It gives you the quarterback you need, someone who you know is going to be good. He's got a connection with Keenan Allen already. It's pretty good. It's positive. He'd have a better team in Chicago than he's had in San Diego with any offensive lineman. So Caleb Williams, first overall.
Slater's better than any offensive lineman the Bears has.
That is true. I have hope that the Bears will take an offensive lineman 9th. But we'll talk about that when we get to the 9th pick. So first overall, you've got Caleb Williams.
There'll be no trade. It's
no
Caleb
trade.
Williams.
So second, then, the Commanders, the team that routinely screws up drafts. Yes. Who do you have them selecting?
I have a common sense pick, which means they won't do it.
Yes.
If you trade your starting quarterback, Sam Howell, who, by the way, was okay. He wasn't poor. He wasn't great, but he wasn't poor either. He was good. He
did the job.
All right. You traded him to Seattle. What I need is more of a, let's use an old phrase from 20 years ago, a cable-ready guy. It's like buying a cable-ready TV. Bang. I need somebody that's a little bit older, has a little bit more under the belt, and that means I go with Daniels of LSU. I need somebody that has more game reps. And if you're going to compare Drake May to Daniels in terms of game reps, you go with the older player because there's nobody there to break in the guy. And because there's nobody there to break in the guy, you go with the guy that's probably most ready to play now. That is Daniels.
So Jaden Daniels, LSU, to the Washington Commanders. It takes us to number 3, probably the spot where pretty much anything is up for grabs with the Patriots. There are rumors that a lot of teams want to trade up to get to the 3rd spot to get whichever of the 3 quarterbacks is left over. Currently with us, it's Drake May. It could be J.J. McCarthy. No one really knows what's going to happen at 3. But what do you think is going to happen at 3 to them Patriots?
Patriots will take Drake May.
Okay.
Well, I mean, they need a quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not questioning it.
I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, they could trade with the Chargers and get Justin Herbert,
Yeah.
And then they can take J.J. McCarthy and we can watch them both, go down the tubes together.
That'd be fun. That would be very fun. Now 4th, the Cardinals. They, of course, have Kyler.
If they keep it.
If they keep the 4th, We're presuming that everyone keeps their picks in this draft for sanity's sake.
If they keep it. But there's going to be a lot of action surrounding this spot and the 5th spot.
So what do you think happens at 4 with the Cardinals?
If they keep it, Marvin Harrison.
If they keep it, Marvin Harrison. Okay. So is that what you think is going to happen in this draft?
No, I think it's going to be a trade.
Okay.
I mean, I can see Denver trading up.
So Denver would trade up. It would be, I think, 12 plus another first or two to move up to that slot. So, or at least a second.
I'm not really sure how many draft picks Denver has because of the Seattle trade for Russell Wilson.
It's true.
I mean, I'd have to really look and see what kind of, how many picks they have. I mean, we all know they have 12, but after that, I'm not sure.
Denver has 12, 76, 121, 136, and then it goes up from there. So they have one pick in the first and a pick in the third.
If you're going to make that trade, I need to have a third-day pick. So I would trade 112, and I'd trade 12.
Or 121, 12.
121 and 12 to get 4 from Arizona. But for Arizona, is that attractive enough? I think there are better packages out there that you can get.
There's rumors the Raiders want to move up to get somebody. There's rumors.
The Raiders have more draft capital than Denver does. Again, because of the Russell Wilson deal that they made. They gave up a lot to get him.
Would the Vikings move up? The Vikings have 11.
The Vikings are desperate to move up.
They have 11, and they have 23, and they have 108, 129. So they've got ammunition to go up, and they've got a lot of it.
And they've got a lot of it, and I could see them making a deal because, again, or maybe they're sitting there and Bo Nix and Michael Penix are higher on their board.
Yeah.
Now, but them picking at 11 makes Denver more desperate at 12 to make a move.
And you're also sitting there with the thought that the Giants at 6 are a weird one, where they could take a quarterback or they could not. And then you've got 11 and 12 with the Vikings and Broncos to take quarterbacks.
I think the Giants are taking Malik Neighbors.
Well, we'll get to the Giants and Neighbors in a second.
I can get to that one faster.
So, 4th overall pick, do you think trade and to who? I want your official selection, Mr. Steve Jones.
Again, it's going to depend on Minnesota and Denver as to what they want to do with the thing. Is Denver so worried that Minnesota will pick a quarterback? Will they try and put a package together and send it to Arizona? I mean, they've already traded Jerry Jeudy. So, I mean, what do they have left? I mean, they don't have a lot left.
They don't. They need to build.
Minnesota, they still have Justin Jefferson and guys like that. Okay. Sam Darnold's not the answer.
No.
I would guess that if they were to move up to 4 with the idea they take McCarthy might be the starter by midseason. But if I'm Minnesota, I'm comfortable taking Nix or Penix.
I agree.
I'm not uncomfortable with taking them as opposed. Okay, and this is the point I made about McCarthy yesterday. I'll make it again. He is in the hall of very good. He's a very good runner. He is a very good passer. He is an exceptional leader. Everybody internally tells you that part, right? But I think that's a fair evaluation of who he is, right?
Yeah.
And that's, okay, and very good is functional. Very good gets you to the playoffs. Very good rarely, outside of the Brad Johnsons and the Trent Dilfers of the world, right?
Yeah.
Win Super Bowls. Right? I mean, yes, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer was a very good NFL quarterback. Right? Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. He was a very good quarterback. Right? Well, guess what? There's nothing wrong with being very good. Right? NFL quarterback, terrible. Me, okay? Looking up at the ceiling, can't get away from anybody, right? Right? So being very good, that's not a knock.
Nope.
But for example, right, great, it's hard to project great. I'm not even projecting Caleb Williams as being great. I think he's got the highest potential of the group.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I pick him first. I mean, and I thought the best evaluation I heard about him was he's great in havoc situations. The biggest problem he has is most of the time he's the one that created the havoc.
Yeah.
He's got a. I mean, he is a pendulum.
Yeah.
The way he plays.
And speaking of pendulums, currently you are as well. I need a pick, sir. I need a pick selection. Do you think someone's going to trade up?
I'm going to stick with Harrison going there.
Harrison going fourth to the Cardinals. Fifth is the Chargers. They're sitting there. They need pretty much help outside of quarterback. This is kind of their thing. So who do you have them selecting? I know they could go O-line, they could go receiver, they can go tight end, they can go D-line, linebacker. They got options.
Yeah, a lot of options. I think that let's take this and swing it a little differently here. Go J.C. Latham of Alabama.
J.C. Latham, Alabama.
And then Malik Neighbors, 6 to the Giants.
So no quarterback for the Giants, sticking with Danny Dimes for one more year.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. And they don't want to seem like they made a terrible decision when we all know they did.
Right.
So now it moves on to 7 to the Titans.
And that'll be Joe Alt.
Joe Alt.
From Notre Dame.
So now you're sitting first 7 as Caleb, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Marvin Harrison, J.C. Latham, Malik Neighbors, and Joe Alt. Now move down to the new coach with Raheem Morris and the Falcons sitting at number 8. They need D-line, they need corners, and they're also the Falcons. They need a new place to live because the Falcons stink and the Saints are the best.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry. I would go with defensive line.
So D-line, so you're thinking Byron Murphy, Jerjon Newton. You could even go corner with Quinion Mitchell, Cooper DeJean.
I would go with Murphy.
Byron Murphy, the second to the Falcons, which now brings us to everyone's favorite team picking in this draft, the Chicago Bears. They have their second selection at number 9.
The Bears, I go Rome Odunze.
Rome Odunze. And that is interesting because Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze ended up on the same flight out from wherever they were to the draft.
Yep.
And photos are posted of them together. And apparently Caleb Williams recently has been throwing with Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, and DJ Moore.
Well,
so it's of note.
This is my theory on that. I picked a quarterback to lead the draft that has mobility. He's going to need it. Cincinnati led its draft years ago with Joe Burrow, who, before he got hurt, mobility. When it came time for a subsequent draft, they could have picked Penny Sewell, who just signed a 4-year, $112 million contract with the Lions.
Not bad.
And has been everything Detroit could ask for. But everyone in that draft had projected they needed to protect Burrow. They're going to take Sewell. And they didn't. They took Jamar Chase. Well, that turned out to be not just a good pick, a great pick. Now, Sewell would have been a great pick too. But Chase changed the dynamics of the offense. And that's what I'm looking for with the Bears. I've selected a quarterback that has mobility, that can maybe buy me some time. To go with Keenan Allen, I want another game breaker out there to really open things up. Right? And I say go for it. Now, who knows? Maybe these guys will be playing in the Dome Stadium where they don't have to worry about the conditions in 5 years. I don't know. It's if any of them are still there. But that's, to me, that's why I would go wide receiver, game-breaking wide receiver in that spot.
So Rome Odunze, number 9, to the Chicago Bears alongside Caleb Williams, which now gets us the 10th pick, the first double-digit pick, the New York Fighting Jets. What are they doing? How are they helping Aaron Rodgers out
with Latham off the board and with Alt off the board? I know that the thought process has been that Olu moves down to the Saints at 14. I think the Jets pick him here at 10.
Olu to the Jets, helping out Aaron Rodgers.
Well, because I need to protect
the 40-year-old man.
Right? With a guy that doesn't give up pressures. I didn't say sacks. He didn't give up pressures. I need that guy. Okay? To do that. I need the best pass blocker in the draft to have his back. And that's why I've got to go with him in that spot. Now, do I think they'll do it? I don't know.
They could go anywhere with that.
Right. But I think if I'm them, to me, no offense, I think it's actually an easy pick.
It should be.
Right. I think that is an easy pick. And that's why, since it's the Jets,
they'll screw it up.
Yeah, they'll mess it up.
Yeah. This now brings us to the start of the fun. Number 11, the Vikings. Of course, as we've said, Sam Darnold is their current starting quarterback for the opening day. Do you think they're going to go quarterback? Will they go and get themselves? I know the PFF currently has their needs, so I'm doing this draft as quarterback, tight end, guard, D-line, or DBs. Are they going to go quarterback? Steve Jones.
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix over J.J. McCarthy.
Oh, I haven't selected McCarthy yet, have I?
Not selected McCarthy yet. McCarthy's still sitting there. You still have McCarthy, Nix, and Penix as of 11. So that's why this pick gets real funky.
Then I'll go JJ. Why not? It seems like he's the higher rated guy.
JJ McCarthy, number 11. Yeah. And then number 12, the Broncos, similar, need a quarterback.
They'll take Bo Nix.
Bo Nix to Denver, 2 Mile High. Number 13, Raiders.
Michael Penix.
I think
now this is the run.
So this is where the run goes, and then all the quarterbacks now, the top guys at least are off the board. You've still got Rattler and Pratt and Travis and these guys, but they're not going to go first round.
Look, Rattler is one of those guys where you watch him, and you're like, boy, he's got a good look to him. And then the game's over, and you don't feel like he did anything.
He was the guy in Oklahoma, and then some dude named Caleb Williams came in and took his job.
But it wasn't as if Caleb Williams seized the job from him. It was incredible. Rattler wasn't playing well.
No, he was bad, and then Williams came in and wasn't bad.
Right,
it worked.
I mean that to me is he's got that look. You watch him play, you're like, hey, well, look at him. The last thing you realize is when the game's over, like his production really wasn't that great.
Yeah. So now we get to a place near and dear to my heart at 14, the New Orleans Saints, which is what's
left on the offensive line here. That's where they'll go.
It's currently Fuaga from Oregon State, Fontenot from Washington are the top 2 guys left on the board.
I'd say Fontenot.
Fontenot is the general consensus pick for the Saints here at 14. Fontenot. I will throw a shot in the dark out there, though. Shot in the dark. Sure. So, of course, the O-line, we just...
Keandre Lambert-Smith?
No. The Saints have O-line issues at the yin-yang right now, where Ramczyk, we don't know how healthy he is. Our formerly starting / 6th guy on the line, James Hurst, just retired. So the Saints need O-line help. But I'm going to throw a shot in the dark out there.
Sure.
Brock Bowers. The Saints don't have a tight end.
I'm getting close to the Brock Bowers deal, but I'm going to say offensive line.
But all I'm going to say is, as a Saints fan, I know we need O-line. I very much so know we need offensive linemen. I would not despise picking Brock Bowers because currently we have Olave,
big time player,
and then Rashid Shaheed is okay, but he's not a number 2. Cedric Wilson is not a number 2. He would be your second guy. It'd be him. You could use him, Juwan Johnson, Taysom Hill. You could use a bunch of guys platooning around. I wouldn't hate Brock Bowers, but
anybody who drafts Brock Bowers is not going to hate it. This guy, this is Mark Bavaro,
and he's the weird pick. He's been rumored to go as high as 5 to the Chargers, or you're now sitting at 15.
Which
he's still
is
on the board.
A distinct possibility. I'm telling you, this guy, he's good. This guy is Mark Bavaro.
Yeah, and now we get to 15, Indianapolis Colts. Who are they taking to help out Anthony Richardson? Who do you think they're going to go for? They currently needs our wide receiver and DB per PFF. So
they'll take Williams from LSU.
The
wide receiver. Is that
you mean
right?
Brian Thomas?
Yeah, Thomas from LSU.
Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU.
Yeah.
Okay. So not going to take DeJean, not going to take Quinion Mitchell.
No, I'm going to take a wide receiver.
Okay. Now we go to the Seattle Seahawks. They're picking at 16. They need guard, edges, linebackers, safeties. You think there's going to be a spot for Latu out of UCLA, Dallas Turner, Jared Verse?
This is Dallas Turner's time.
Dallas Turner. Dallas Turner goes 16 to the Seahawks. Brings us to Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. They need guard, edge rushers, DBs. Is there going to be a defensive player taken? Is that what's going to happen again? Back to back?
I would say Verse.
Jared Verse. So back to back DNs. Now we get to the Bengals, whose current needs are tackle, D-line, and tight end.
Yeah, but you know what?
And by the way, quick note.
But Hendrickson wants to be traded.
Trey
T.
Hendrickson,
Higgins wants to be traded.
Yeah. So do you go Latu as an edge to replace Trey? Do you take
I'd rather
Brock
have Chop
Bowers?
than Latu.
Agreed.
All right, so let's go Chop. Let's have some fun.
Chop Robinson. Wow.
Let's do this. Chop.
He's pulling Chop up. By the way, PFF has Adisa Isaac ranked 38th out of every player. So they think he could possibly go in the first round.
Sure.
I think that's pretty cool. The LA Rams, the team that trades all their picks, 19.
Well, let's go out and replace Aaron Donald.
So you're going Jerjon Newton?
Yep.
That has been the consensus pick for them. And now, number 20, the fighting Russell Wilsons. What will they do, Steve?
They will take a center. It'll be the kid from Duke.
They'll take, is it Barton or is it, I believe it's Barton.
The kid from Duke.
Graham Barton, I think.
Yep.
Graham Barton, number 20. Number 21, the Miami Dolphins.
It bothers you I was so fast with that.
I needed to confirm because they've got him labeled as a tackle, but I thought he was a center or going to be a center in this draft.
I mean, they think on their board, the kid from Duke is the number one center in the draft.
That's a good spot to be.
Okay, I mean that's on the Steelers board. I know somebody.
You know a guy.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
Number 21, the Miami Dolphins.
My next choice there would be Zach Frazier from West Virginia.
That's a good one. But number 21, though, Miami Dolphins. Their current needs are tight end, guard, tackle, and defensive interior.
Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers, 21. Geez.
Look, he's going to go a lot earlier than this. Okay, let's be honest about it.
If he's still there at 20, that will be a big surprise, and someone's going to trade up for him.
He is going to be gone before any of this, but it just turns out what we're doing right now.
Yeah. Next, we were in Pittsburgh, we made our way to Miami. Now we're going back north to Philadelphia. Who will they take at 22?
Cooper DeJean.
Cooper DeJean finally gets off the board. He's possibly going top 10. You have him 22 to the Eagles. And now picking for the second time, they of course took J.J. McCarthy earlier in the draft, the Minnesota Vikings. They need a tight end, a guard, a defensive interior, and a defensive back. So will it be time finally for one of the guys who's going to go top 10, Quinion Mitchell? Will it be Latu, Fuaga, Terrion Arnold?
This will be Latu here.
Latu goes here.
Since I had Chop going before him.
Okay. And now we get to America's team. America's team that everyone hates, the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, you're just such a hater.
I'm allowed to be a hater for the Cowboys. I think that's allowed. Oh. The Cowboys, they apparently need running backs, receivers, centers, tackles, D interiors, linebackers, corners. They need everything.
They'll take the tackle from Morgan State.
Fuaga. And now the Jordan Loves.
And they'll tell everybody how smart they are. They outsmarted everybody.
Exactly. They're the smartest team in the draft. He's the best player in the draft, Steve, by a mile.
Yeah.
Now the Packers need linemen, they need defensive interior, and they need a safety. But there's no safeties that are high up. So where are they going, Steve? Currently the top lineman left is Amarius Mims, who's a guard. You've got DBs like Quinion Mitchell and Terrion Arnold.
Let's take Mitchell.
Adonai Mitchell or Quinion Mitchell. Quinion Mitchell. Quinion Mitchell going to the Packers. Then brings us to 26 to the Buccaneers. They need help pretty much everywhere across the board throughout their team. They need pieces here and there. So the top guy on the board still Terrion Arnold, then Amarius Mims. More corners with Wiggins and Kool-Aid McKinstry. You've got Adonai Mitchell. You've got guys like Lad McConkey, Adisa Isaac.
Shock the world.
Adisa Isaac bringing the total to 3 Penn Staters drafted in the first round. That'd make me smile. That'd make me smile, Steve. Now picking for the second time, they took Marvin Harrison Jr. early on, Maserati Marv. The Arizona Cardinals. They need a center, a guard, a defensive lineman, and a cornerback. Will this be the time that the top corner on the board is Terrion Arnold? You've got Nate Wiggins from Clemson, Kool-Aid McKinstry.
I'll go with Arnold going there.
Terrion Arnold going there. Now the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen throwing to me. Who is going to be taken? Is this going to be Adonai Mitchell? Is it going to be Lad McConkey? Who do you think is going to get taken 28 by Buffalo?
Let's go Lad McConkey.
Lad McConkey goes to the Buffalo Bills. Next up, you need a player who's going to bite off a kneecap. Who's it going to be? Who's going to bite off kneecaps with our man Dan Campbell up in Detroit? They need a guard, so Marius Mims is the top guard and the top player on the board. Will it be an edge? Will it be a corner? Those are the big needs. Mims.
Yeah, in other words, I mean, this team
they're good.
Has an old school run mentality. You go with Mims.
Give yourself a guard. And then you get to 30 with the Baltimore Ravens. Their needs are wide receiver, guard, tackle, edge, and corner. Where will they go? Will they give Lamar Jackson some help with a guy like a Mitchell or a Troy Franklin or a Roman Wilson or Ricky Pearsall, Jalen Polk? What are they going to do?
They got Flowers last year, which really helped.
It did get
They re-signed Bateman. Right, so
it's good. Will they add a third guy? Will they go with the O-line? For O-lineman, you've got guys like Jackson Powers Johnson at center. You've got Frazier from West Virginia at center. You've got like Tyler Guyton and Jordan Morgan as tackles.
Well, they don't need a center. They got the kid from Iowa.
So you've got Linderbaum.
Yeah.
Linderbaum.
Right.
So will they take a receiver then? Or they will go to corner they could go with. Everyone needs cornerbacks. So you've got Nate Wiggins, Kool-Aid McKinstry there as the top corners.
They lost Dobbins. This is strange. They lost Dobbins, and they lost
Gus Edwards.
Gus Edwards.
Do you think they're going to select a running back at 30? Jonathan Brooks is the top guy. Blake Corum's second.
All right. See, and I'm not a big on the NFL level. I'm not a big Blake Corum guy. I would select Donovan Edwards before I would pick Corum. If Donovan Edwards were there.
Yeah.
But he's going back to Michigan.
He is.
I would take a long, hard look at him, but no. I mean, I'm just saying they need a running back somewhere.
You're just chucking that out there into the universe.
So let's just take an offensive lineman.
An offensive lineman.
Yeah.
I believe I can never figure out how to get off of this thing here. The top offensive lineman there would probably be Jordan Morgan or Tyler Guyton. We'll take Guyton.
Let's take Guyton there.
Guyton. And now the San Francisco 49ers. Who will they take? They, of course...
Who's left at wide receiver? That's what I want to know.
The top receiver out there is Adonai Mitchell. You've got, outside of him, you've got Franklin, Keon Coleman, Roman Wilson, Xavier Worthy, Tej Walker, Xavier Legette.
I think they're going to take... Let's go with Worthy. Because...
Xavier Worthy.
Yeah. 4.2 whatever he ran. And the next part of that is, remember... They're trying to figure out at this point. This is a team I think is going to move up in the draft because Ayuk wants to be dealt.
He wants out,
and he has been point blank that he wants to be out.
He has.
So and to be honest with you, except for Jason Lord, most people want out from that franchise.
Oof. This now brings us to the end of the first round. The last team to pick, Super Bowl champions, trying to three-peat. Who will be joining Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce in Kansas City?
Brandon Ayuk.
I think the 49ers could trade Ayuk anywhere. The last team they trade him to would be the Chiefs. Am I wrong, though? If you give Mahomes Ayuk, I think that's a little bit too unfair at that point. You already got Kelce.
Unfair?
You know what?
Unfair?
The Chiefs would happily trade Kadarius Toney for Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
Will it be Adonai Mitchell here?
I would go with Mitchell here. Mitchell would be the best
pick.
pick.
Just to go back over.
Now,
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain teams, like, for example, but again, I think Worthy's going to go.
So back-to-back Texas
I
receivers.
do. I think he's going to be the first round.
McConaughey's going to love that one.
Now, McKinstry is somebody that is a possibility you haven't really talked about. Darius Robinson's another guy that we haven't really talked about. So there are certain guys here that, and I know Graham Barton is looked at. They say he's a tackle.
He's a center.
But
They're converting him to center.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what the Steelers want and need. That's why I think the Steelers are going to go there.
So just to go over real fast, your draft, what we have here laid out, just going through the 32 picks, and then we'll discuss some interesting
Brock
things
Bowers,
that could happen.
by the way, could go to the Bears.
He could go to the Bears.
Again, if you're comfortable with Keenan Allen there, see, I said Adunze, okay? If Adunze is there, I think they take him. If he's not there, I think they take Brock Bowers. I think whatever they're going to do is going to be offensive help.
Yes.
Playmaking help for Caleb Williams.
Yeah. So going quickly back through this draft, we've got Caleb Williams to the Bears, Jaden Daniels to the Commanders, Drake May to the Patriots, Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Cardinals, J.C. Latham to the Chargers, Malik Neighbors to the Giants, Joe Alt for the Titans, Byron Murphy II to the Falcons, Rome Odunze to the Bears, Olu to the Jets, J.J. McCarthy to the Minnesota Vikings, Bo Nix to the Broncos, Michael Penix Jr. to the Raiders, Troy Fontenot to the Saints, Brian Thomas Jr. to the Colts, Dallas Turner to the Seahawks. You've got Jared Verse to the Jaguars, staying in Florida, Chop Robinson to the Bengals, which I'm presuming means then Trey Henderson might be traded officially. He might be out.
Yeah, gone.
Jerjon Newton to the Rams to replace Aaron Donald, which is going to be a tough job to do.
Look, you just have to be the best you. You don't have to be him.
You've got Graham Barton to the Steelers, Brock Bowers to the Dolphins, Cooper DeJean to the Eagles, Leatu Latu to the Vikings, Talise Fuaga to the Cowboys, the greatest player of all time, Quinion Mitchell to the Packers, Adisa Isaac to the Bucks, Terrion Arnold to the Cardinals, Ladd McConkey to the Bills, Amarius Mims to the Lions, Tyler Guyton to the Ravens, Xavier Worthy to the Niners, and Adonai Mitchell to the Chiefs.
Look, I can be as wrong as anybody on this, and I got to give these guys credit. Like, again, the part you cannot predict are the trades. You cannot predict the trades, and that's a big. I mean, that is a big part of this. Because once you get to 4,
everything opens up.
Everything changes. Because at that point with Arizona, I think they hold all the cards for the rest of the round.
Yeah.
I think there are going to be multiple first-round trades tonight where who's hosting for ESPN tonight, do we know?
Hosting for ESPN.
Well, it's Rich Eisen on NFL Network, which is where I go.
I love Rich.
I watch NFL Network. I always have. I just,
I'm guessing Greeny is going to be hosting. If I'm guessing.
I'm definitely going to watch Rich Eisen.
I mean, Rich Eisen, I love Rich Eisen personally. I think he's awesome. Yeah. But so you think the Cardinals at 4 are interesting?
I think they're the ones that hold the key to the drama of the first round.
Whatever they do.
I don't think they're going to keep their pick. And then I'm not so sure the Chargers keep their pick.
That's what I was going to say. Let's say the Cardinals keep their pick. They take Marvin Harrison. At 5, the Chargers then say, we'll trade down. They could trade down to 11 or 12 or 13.
And still get Brock Bowers.
Still get Brock Bowers or get themselves a tackle who they like. Let's say for them, they like Olu most. Or they like even Latham. Or if it's Fuaga or Fontenot, whoever it is, they could sit there and say, we could trade back and get one of these guys, get more assets, get the guy we like the most, and be happy with our day. And so at 5, all of a sudden, that's funky. The Giants at 6 are probably going to stay or move up. If they move up, it means Daniel Jones is gone, which is a major move to make. But of course, monetarily, they're in the hole on that one.
Right.
So the Giants at 6 are weird. The Titans will probably stay at 7, one would presume, unless they trade back.
The Falcons are going to stay where they are.
Falcons will stay where they are. The Bears are probably...
believe me, the Falcons are also in play for Olu.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
I know.
I mean, with Kirk Cousins, the Falcons are in play for Olu.
I would not like him to go to the Falcons. I don't want to root against him. But You're right. And then at 9, the Bears are going to stay at 9. They're going to take the second need they have, which is not Caleb Williams, basically.
Some sort of, whether it's a Dunze or it's Brock Bowers. They're taking somebody to for Caleb Williams to put the ball into their hands.
Would you hate if they took a lineman, if they took an Olu or someone on the line? Because that would give Caleb some protection, give you another guy on that O-line. It helps out a bunch. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to do.
It wouldn't be, but I think the Bears need to put a little sizzle into what's going on with their offense. Their offense has been so, it's like the Iowa coaching staff was transplanted into what the Bears have been doing in recent years.
Mm-hmm. Oh, boy. That's not great praise for them.
You watch the Bears play.
Mm-hmm. I don't like
but you watch the Bears play. They are not a fun team to watch offensively.
And then sitting at number 10, the Jets.
They've got to protect Rodgers.
They do.
They have to. And look, is it any coincidence where'd the pressure come from on the fourth play of the season?
Mm-hmm. Came from the left.
Yeah.
As things stand currently, the guy who I enjoy watching the most in terms of the draft, like the previews, is Daniel Jeremiah.
Mm-hmm. Daniel Jeremiah does a great job.
He's great. He, I believe in the past 5 years has gone 31 of 32 almost all the time. So we're very close to it. He's good.
There are a couple big reasons why I watch NFL Network on this. Rich Eisen being one. I think he's one of those. He's one of those flawless. Comfortably goes from one piece to the next. You have to be the right traffic cop. When they had he's the Raiders GM. He played football at Boston College.
Not Telesco. You're thinking
no. Way back when.
Way back when.
No, I'm talking about 3-4 years ago before he became the Raiders GM. Mike Mayock.
Yeah.
Mike Mayock, no offense, way better than ESPN has on their set. Okay? Daniel Jeremiah, way better than what ESPN has on their set. Everybody has their own personal opinions about stuff like that, or their own personal preference. And if anybody says their personal preference is Mike Greenberg, I completely respect that because that's your personal preference.
Yeah.
If you think Mel and Schefter are great or whatever, or I don't know how much Herb Street's on this or not.
I believe he's got a contract thing going on, so he's not. Or McShay's not, at least. I don't know how much Herb's going to be involved.
He's got a problem.
Yeah. But just going through Jeremiah's draft, because we have a few minutes left, I think this is really interesting to look at before we quickly discuss one more thing. He's got the same top 3 you do of Williams, Daniels, May. He's got Harrison going to 4 to the Cardinals, Latham at 5, Neighbors at 6.
Okay, so our first 6 match.
Our first 7 match. You got Joe Alt at 7 to Titans. The only first difference is he has Dallas Turner to the Falcons.
That makes sense.
Instead of Byron Murphy.
That makes sense.
He has Olu to the Bears at 9.
Okay.
He's got Adunze at 10 to the Jets to give Rodgers someone to go alongside Garrett Wilson.
Yep.
He's got J.J. McCarthy at 11 like you do. He's got Talise Fuaga to the Eagles at 12 that they'll trade up with Denver to give help and eventually replace Lane Johnson whenever he retires. So Fuaga, they have, similar to us, Penix at 13, Fontenot at 14 to the Saints. He has Brock Bowers at 15 to the Colts, which seems like a good pick.
No, I agree. Bowers to the Colts would be a great pick.
Home run.
Look, it's hard to tell what the Colts look like with Richardson at quarterback because he didn't play a lot last season. He got hurt so early.
Yeah. They've got 16, Terrion Arnold to the Seahawks.
Yeah.
They have Quinion Mitchell to the Jags at 17, Byron Murphy at 18 to the Bengals, Amarius Mims at 19 to the Commanders. They'll trade up with the Rams to swap up for their 19th pick, which probably means they're trading up a bunch of picks for it. They have at 20, the Steelers take Tyler Guyton as a tackle instead of going corner or center. At 21, they're
taking a center.
We'll see. They have 21, the Dolphins taking Jerjon Newton. The Broncos at 22, with their trade with the Eagles, they will take Bo Nix at 22. Chop 23 to the Vikings. Graham Barton 24 to the Cowboys. Cooper DeJean to the Packers at 25. Jared Verse to the Bucs at 26. Latu to the Cardinals at 27. Brian Thomas Jr. to the Bills at 28. Kool-Aid McKinstry at 29 to the Lions. 30 is Nate Wiggins from Clemson to the Ravens. Xavier Worthy, and then Adonai Mitchell, the exact same last two you have with the Niners and the Chiefs. So a very, very pretty straightforward draft. I think the only guys who you have that they don't are McConkey and Adisa Isaac, I believe, out of every player that has been here.
Yeah, and I think both those guys will be second-round picks. But I'm looking at it saying, which guy do I think can help them the most? That's why I picked those two guys.
Yeah. So 30 of 32 players you had are going in the first round. There's only two differences between you and Jeremiah in terms of players. There's a lot of moving parts here and there. But overall, strong. And to wrap this up with 3 minutes left here, I just quickly want to mention, did you watch the Celtics lose last night?
No, I did not. I did not see a second of the game.
That's crazy.
But again, this is what the Celtics do. The Celtics go along, and they have to overcome this mentality of we've got it made. Okay? Hey, this is the NBA playoffs. Hey, you want to win it, you have to win 15 more games. Right? The fewer games you can do it in, the better. They now have to go down to Miami, and the pressure's all on them to win at least a game, if not win both games.
By the way, Miami does not have Jimmy Butler.
No, they don't have.
They're missing their best player.
They do not have Jimmy Butler. That's exactly right.
They made their playoff record 23 threes in this game, which tied the Celtics from the game one where they made 23 threes, their playoff record. Right. So I guess 23 threes is the lucky number to hit to win a game for this series. And again, it now means the Heat have home court advantage, which is not fun if you're Boston. Like, you can go in and win anywhere, of course, but as you just said, let's say Miami takes one of these two games at home. They win one of the two. Boston's not going to like that at all.
Well, no. If they know that if they lose one game in Miami, they know they have to go back down there. They have to play 3 games down there. I mean, you don't need this.
Nope.
Right? And it's obvious who the better team is. But you have to play like you're the better team, and you have to go out and play in such a way where, okay, you have nothing made. You aren't the defending champion. You have not won the championship since 2018. Since 2008, I mean. And I know, they took the 23 of 43 in threes last night. All right, 54%. The Celtics actually only took 32 threes last night. They were fine. They were 12 of 32, 38%. But, I mean, that's the value of the shot. And overall, each team made 37 shots last night. Each team made 37 shots. The difference is one team made 23 threes, the other team made 12. And the Celtics, by the way, had a ton of free throws.
Oh, yeah.
You're playing on your home court. Game one was relatively easy, which then puts the Celtics, to their credit, in a position where they think they've got it made. And once the second half started, midway through the third quarter, the Heat got the lead, and they maintained the lead.
The Celtics scored 34 points in the second quarter and scored 40 points in the second half.
Yep.
Not great, but we'll come back tomorrow to talk about the upcoming game slate tonight and also NFL draft round numero uno.
Knicks?
I believe it includes my New York Knickerbockers. Yes, it does.
Yes.
It's going to be a fun night, Steve.
Thank you for listening to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, a 7 Mountain Media production. Come back at 11 every weekday for analysis of the latest happening in the sports landscape. From college football to European soccer, Steve and Kyle cover it all on